All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome. It's Raleigh, and we are back with more news. The ArenaNet posted had a news update post, a blog post about the Warclaw. So we're going to be discussing the Warclaw. But as far as I understand it, I didn't read too much, but I saw a couple of comments here and there. But people, there's going to be some other info, and actually something that I'm super excited about. That is kind of a confirmation of one of the theories that I had that I kind of posed to you guys. So it's gonna be super interesting to kind of look at some of the stuff. I find it ironic that I feel like we're getting more lore from this post than we did from the actual post about the region and the Coden, which would be more lore oriented, right? Like that's kind of strange to me, but nonetheless, let's kind of get into it. I'm like, I want to get right in there because I did see the confirmation of one of my theories, and and I just kind of want to see it. So let's get into that. Yeah, I had to take a break just so you guys know. I have been writing some scripts this morning. I was writing some scripts. I'm in the middle of like cleaning my house and then like stopping every so often to like write a little bit, and then like I keep going back and forth or whatever. So I was like, I saw the news come out. I was like, I was taking a break and I was scrolling through my phone, and I was like, oh, I'm like, oh, there's this, and I'm like, well, I guess I'm gonna go get ready and talk about this. So, anyways, Janthia Wilds unleashed the enhanced Warclaw mount. Last week, we laid out the basic premise of the story, which again, whatever. I mean, the thing is, if they're talking about the basic premise of the story, I feel like they didn't give us anything revelating towards that. It's not like they gave us some big info where it's just like, um, I don't know, where it doesn't seem like we got that much. But anyways, including introduction to the Lowland Coden who live in the Janthier Isles. Um, I have this weird thing with the capitalization, right? Because sometimes you'll see them like capitalize Coden, right? Like I feel like maybe that should be capitalized, right? And then sometimes you don't see it. And then Janthier Isles, like sometimes they capitalize that because it's like a whole name of the Isles. It's really strange, and I don't know if it's just me and I'm not like really paying attention that much to it, but it's just kind of weird how like certain things are like capitalized and then I feel like I see them in other posts and they're not. And that's just super nitpicky of me and no one cares. So anyways, this week we thought we'd take a closer look at the area you'll be exploring, plus another fuzzy, which is great. I'm really excited. Plus another fuzzy denizen of the Janthier region, the Warclaw, which the Lowland Coden call Journeykin. We get a really cute picture of a baby Journeykin Warclaw. That is absolutely adorable. That's clearly going to be a mini or something that we're going to see, and I'm just all for it, okay? Arriving at the Lowland Shore. Your first forays into Janthia will take place in the Lowland Shore map, where you'll be able to explore and get to know the locals without the time or coordination pressure of a large-scale map meta event. Oh my god, let's stop for a second here because this is revelating, and this is something that I have been talking about this, and those of you that have been following my streams or have been watching some of my stuff, I've been talking about this for a long time. I've been saying for a long time that not every map needs a giant meta event, and we do not need to have a map that's split into three parts and every part needs a meta event. Like having chained events maybe, and having like you know, if you guys think about like the core maps, for example, there are not that many meta events. Yes, there are like overarching meta events they call them for like the whole map, right? Like if you look at something, if we for example take Queensdale, right? We take something very basic like Queensdale, and you look at Queensdale. I think isn't one of the meta events like the war with the centaurs? But there's no actual like it's not a meta event. It's just kind of like where it goes back and forth, right? It tell you on the right side of the screen for you guys. It would be like here. It tells you on the right side of the screen like you know, the meta event or whatever, that's the event, and then the meta that's going on, right? And it'll tell you. And sometimes these meta events aren't actually like, they don't end in big boss fights, and they're not like on a timer, and they're not like, many times they are, but many times they're not. And I feel like that is more than enough for like a first map going into it. Like, yeah, there can be events, and there can be a meta event, right? More of like a overarching story. Like these meta events that I'm talking about that don't end in like a giant boss fight. Those are more like they tell like isolated stories that are happening on this particular map. Like I said, the Centaur War, right? Like that is happening on in Queensdale, and it's like a tug of war between certain like tug of war between the, you know, the centaurs and the humans, for certain regions and certain outposts and whatever, right? And it goes back and forth, but it's isolated enough that if I'm on the other side of the map, I don't realize this is happening, and I don't need to, and it's fine, right? Like this is exactly what I'm talking about. Without the time or coordination pressure, I love this because I'm telling you guys already, and I've talked about this a lot. Between the two maps that we're getting, the Janthier Sentry and Lowland Shore, I'm more excited about Lowland Shore because I've seen more unique assets for it. I've seen a lot more like stuff that I want to explore in it. Where I've seen a lot of Janthia Sentry have reused assets, where I'm like, okay, I've seen this, like the White Mantle ruins and the Bloodstone stuff that I've talked about, like those things where I'm like, you know, I feel like I'm probably gonna like the first map more, and this just kind of confirms it for me because I like the maps that are more casual. I like the maps where I can just kind of hang out and just, if I want to do an event, I can do an event, or if I want to hang out in the Coden village and not have to worry about, oh, this meta event is going on and there's 75,000 people trying to get like into the map and organizing this and just hanging out and doing whatever, which isn't a bad thing to have players in the game, right? But I just sometimes want to just kind of have like this chill map where I can just walk around and do stuff. And that's why you guys will find me many a times in the core maps, because that's the kind of flow that the core maps have. Many of them, just because there's so many of them, they don't all have meta events, and that's okay. Like, I love Snowden Drifts. Snowden Drifts does not have a meta event. It has isolated little area things where it's like, oh, the centaurs in the north, and then we have, you know, of course, like Svanir stuff and Icebird stuff and whatever, blah, 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 happening throughout. But it's just kind of like you can walk through the map and just kind of explore and kind of hang out and kind of do just like all these things and not have to worry about, you know, when is the next meta event happening? When is this next thing happening? You know, so I really, 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 really love this, and I'm already super excited. We designed this map to give everyone a change of pace from the epic scale of content you'll find in maps like Inner Nyos and Guild Wars 2 Seekers of the Obscure. Instead, you'll be experiencing the lifestyle of a lowland Coden colony that calls the area home. Try training with spears with the locals and racing with local salmon as you enjoy the natural beauty of the area. I love this. So are we gonna see some like local salmon swimming upstream? That would be really cool. I would love that. But uh, just the idea, like this kind of makes it sound like we're gonna see hearts come back. I know that was something recently some people were talking about on Reddit. I saw a post about like how people would feel about hearts coming back. I like hearts coming back because again, it's for me as someone that is super casual in the way that I consume the game, and I don't do too much end game stuff, and I don't sit there and always have goals and constantly work towards these things. Sometimes I just like hanging out and just going around, like I said, doing events, doing different things. It's kind of nice sometimes to just say, oh, you know what? I like that heart. I'm gonna walk over there. You know, I happen to be right over here and have nothing better going on. I'm gonna go hang out and take care of this heart, you know, and maybe do an event in the meantime or whatever, right? And just kind of hang out. So I love this. It sounds like training. Try training with spears. We've seen the little training area with the Coden a few times now, and I think maybe that area is maybe that, you know, that's going to be part of the village, but maybe that's like the training area that we had in Cantha in End of Dragons at the monastery. Maybe it's going to be the same kind of thing, and maybe there's a heart involved with that too. We don't know. So, but that's really cool. I'm super excited for this. Super fun, and we get another picture of this. So this looks like the little training area that I was talking about. We see some of those geysers, the water that was running down the hill and stuff. So we have seen this, but we've seen this from another perspective. We've seen this from standing here looking this way, like looking past the rock and looking over there. We've seen pictures of this area, so it looks really cool. It looks super fun. I love I love everything about this. I think it all looks really cool, and yeah, like I said, Lowland Shore, I'm really looking forward to. So, and then into Janthir Sentry. It's Sentry, right? It's not Sentry. I doubt it's Sentry. As you push deeper into the wilds, you'll encounter more, or it's something completely different, and I don't know how to speak. It's okay. As you push deeper into the wilds, you'll encounter more reminders of the region's dangerous reputation. Deep forests transition into sulfurous swamps. I've talked about this before. Those hot springs looking things that are all like yellow. I was just like, I think these might be sulfurous, so that's kind of a confirmation of that. There that give way to volcanic terrain. We haven't seen the volcanic part of this map at all. Like, we've seen rocky stuff, but we haven't seen any like lava or anything. Not that I can recall, at least. Ruins left by the ravages of time and a bloodstone crater speak of the White Mantle occupation in the time of the original Guild Wars. The barrier between this world and the mist has grown thin in Janthier Sentry, resulting in magical storms called mistides that sweep the area, and strange creatures known to scholars of Tyr's past as Titans have begun appearing in greater numbers. Oh my god, I just want to finish reading this because there's so much. Okay, so dangerous reputation. Okay, so clearly there's something still going on. Why specific, like, in my opinion, does Janthir have a dangerous reputation just because of the White Mantle and the Mersat, or is there something else that gave it that reputation? Right? Remember, like, the not every people, like, not every, like, everyday Joes go to Janthir to hang out, right? So it's, as far as we know, it's the Lowland Coden that live there, and we know that the Astral Ward has been going there. Maban, specifically went there, and we do know that they have kind of a connection. They did have Amnitas was situated above Janthir, the Isles of Janthir for a while. We don't know for how long, but it's like, okay, where does the reputation come from? Is it really, is there more to it, or is there what's going on, right? We have deep forest. We've seen this, right? So the area with the White Mantle ruins and stuff, I think that's the foresty area. We see the early trailer when Anise is talking, and she's like, "Oh, there's a storm that looms above that place," or whatever, right? It's like, right in that moment, I think we get to see some of this foresty area that they're talking about. Then the sulfur swamps, we've seen a couple of pictures of that. And then, like I said, volcanic terrain we have not really seen. I think that's what's gonna. So we've kind of been, in the community and on my streams and stuff, we've kind of been talking about the Titans a little bit, and we're gonna talk about those in a minute as well. But the main Titans that we saw originally in Guild Wars 1 were volcanic Titans. Okay, we saw them on the Fire Island chain. But then when the Lich, and this is kind of a spoiler for Guild Wars 1 if you haven't played it, but the Lich, he summoned more Titans and sent them all around the world to conquer. That was his thing, right? He was like trying to conquer the world with the power of Titans because he had the Scepter of Ore. And the thing was that the Titans were trapped behind the door of Kamali, which sat in the volcano on the Fire Island chain. But the thing is, once he started sending them around the world, they all turned to, like, whatever location they were in. They kind of changed their look. So there were some frozen ones. There were some woody ones that were like rotted ones. So there were like different kinds of Titans depending on which location you went to. So whether or not they were changed by that location or they were specifically sent there because they looked like that, I'm not exactly sure. But it's going to be interesting to see because it sounds like since we are not getting a meta event here, we're definitely getting one in Janthier Sentry, right? I think we can all assume that. And it sounds like this is the chain that we're getting. We're gonna start in the forests, right? So imagine like a Drizzlewood Coast map, okay? That's or we'll just take the lower half of Drizzlewood Coast, right? And you start in the deep forest, which is like the early part of the map, and then you go to the Sulphur Swamps, which is like halfway up, right? And then like where Wolf's Crossing is, where the bridge is, that's the volcanic terrain, right? They kind of make it sound like that's the kind of thing that's going to happen. There's going to be a meta event that kind of transitions through, I'm guessing. They're also, the whole idea was the whole raiding thing. They haven't talked about the raid, but the raid was, they said that it's going to be something that's happening in the open world or whatever, and they're taking that and they're making that into a raid. So I'm thinking that's what it's going to be. These are going to be the 3 parts, because every raid wing has 3 parts to it, as far as I know, right? And it can be, I'm not a raider, so I'm like, whatever. But as far as I understand it, there's like 3 encounters per raid or something like that. So I'm guessing that's probably what it's going to be. It's going to be something in the deep forest. Then we're going to go to the sulfur swamps, and then we're going to go to the volcanic terrain. I'm guessing. That's what it sounds like to me, at least. Ruins left by the ravages of time in a bloodstone crater speak to the White Mantle occupation of the in the time of the original Guild Wars. So I've talked about this, the Bloodstone crater. I've talked about how we're gonna see the last piece. So just so you guys know, the Bloodstone was split into 5 pieces, and the 5th piece has never been seen. We've never seen it in the world of Guild Wars, and it's kind of interesting to think that it was on Janthir the whole time, but the Bloodstone crater probably was caused by the White Mantle, because they were probably back then like mining the Bloodstone or whatever, right? And but that clearly shows that that is the last piece. We're gonna see some Bloodstone elementals. I've talked about it in the trailer. You can see that they're fighting Bloodstone elementals, and there is an actual crater. And they're throwing the spears and blah blah blah. It's like kind of showcasing the spears, but in the video, I was just like, clearly it's Bloodstone. Like, there's Bloodstone. It looks like Bloodstone Fen, like right after the explosion. And there is a crater, and there's Bloodstone elementals. So clearly, there is the last piece of the Bloodstone is something that we're gonna see, which is gonna be interesting because how much Bloodstone stuff are we getting? Because the thing is, they're still not giving us quite the confirmation of, hey, there are White Mantle here, right? We heard about Malice, right? In the trailer, she talks about, or not Malice. Was it Anise? I think it was Anise, actually, that says that she was like, it was either of them. It was Anise or Malice. One of them said that, oh, we got reports of White Manta activity, or rumors. I think Malice said it. I think Malice said, like, there are rumors of White Manta activity. And, but those are just rumors, right? It's like, we haven't seen any White Mantle in any of the trailers, in any of the pictures. We've seen Chalk. We've seen these, whether they're Titans or not, like, we don't really know, but these weird, like, bark elementals, wood elementals, whether they're these, like, rotting Titans or what they are, but we haven't seen White Mantle. So how much Bloodstone, how much White Mantle stuff are we going to get? That's going to be interesting to see. The barrier between this world and the mist has grown thin in Janthier Sentry, resulting in magical storms called mist tides. And that's interesting to me. What does that entail? That sweep the area. I That's going to be very interesting to see. Like, are these like events that happen? Like, how we have like portal events, like rifts happening, right? Like, is this something where we have to use some kind of tool once again, like not the Heart of the Obscure, but the I don't know, the Scepter of Ore, or I don't know, whatever, to close these tides that come in from the mists? Like, is that something where it's an event, or is it like a weather effect where we have what's the sandstorm area? I can't think of it. But the in the Maguma Wastes, we have the Silver Waste, and we have the other one. I forgot what it's called now. During season 2, we had it. I don't know why I can't think of it. But there's a sandstorm in that map, right? So it's like an environmental thing that happens like you have 40 minutes of no sandstorm, and you have 20 minutes of sandstorm. So is it going to be something like that? Or is it going to be, like I said, is it an event thing where we have to close these tides? Or is it going to be something weather related kind of thing, right? Because they're talking about magical storms that sweep the area. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how these tie into like the map in general, you know. But Janthier Sentry sounds very interesting so far. It sounds like there's a lot happening, even outside of there being a meta event. I feel like so far. And strange creatures known to scholars of Tyria's past as Titans have begun appearing in greater numbers. So this is something. So Titans, like I kind of explained a little bit. Titans originate from the realm of torment. They were created in the foundry of failed creations, and uh, it's they were sent by Abaddon, right? Like that's what it goes back to. So we have destroyed Abaddon, and Cormia took his place, right? This all happened like in Guild Wars 1, right? So the question now remains, because a lot of people are like, well, where are these Titans coming from? Well, some might say, well, they were left over because we, the heroes of Guild Wars 1, we never went to Janthir. So we never went and cleansed the Titans from that place because as far as we knew, there wasn't any civilization out there. There was just White Mantle stuff. So, maybe some of the Titans went there and, like hung out there for the last 250 years and just kind of like chilled until we appeared or something, right? Like maybe they deactivated after Abaddon was destroyed or whatever, right? And they kind of have been sitting there until recently something has changed and they reactivated. But now we have confirmation that they're appearing in greater number, which means they're coming back. And this could imply a plethora of things. Most importantly, like I just said, this might imply gods and like not not God, but the gods, right? The pantheon of the human gods of Tyria. That might kind of imply maybe their involvement, because remember these were like originally you could kind of say they were minions of Abaddon, right? So now Titans have begun appearing in greater numbers. Well, wasn't the like realm of torment taken over by Cormia and kind of transformed into Cormia's library? Like, what's going on, right? Like, where are these Titans coming from? Is someone creating them? Is someone like taking, what's going on with that? And then someone the other day actually raised a good point, and I forgot who it was. I want to say it was either Jacob or Mishking or someone on stream um, mentioned the Scepter of Ore, right? The Scepter of Ore, and I just, I said this earlier, was used by the Lich to control the Titans. Now, the Scepter of Ore was in Livia's possession for a long time, and is now, or was stored at the Wizard's Tower. But Livia will be probably involved in this coming story, I'm guessing. So what's going on with the Scepter of War? Are we going to be able to use it to do something with the Titans? Did someone steal it and is using the Scepter of War now to control the Titans to attack us? The same person I believe the same person, whoever it was, suggested maybe there's a traitor amongst the Astra Ward that took the scepter from the Wizard's Tower and fled to Janthir and is now using the scepter on the Titans and controls them to attack us. I mean, there's a lot of things, right? There's a lot of things, like the implication of Titans coming back by itself, not super surprising, but them having, like, appearing to grow in numbers, like, have begun appearing in greater numbers, meaning that are more coming from somewhere, whether it's from the mists, or they're being created on Tyria, or what is going on. Like, we don't know, but this is super interesting. This is super super interesting to me. Like, there are so many possibilities, and I'm excited. I can't wait. I have no idea what this, like I said, there's so many different things. I could sit here all day and just come up with all these possibilities of things. But I just can't wait to see. I would love to see the Scepter of Ore. We now know its actual name is Legavo. I would love to see Legavo come back into the story, and be important, right? It was such a cool artifact that never got to shine fully in Guild Wars 1, but now it really has with everything going on, with all the puzzle pieces of, like, we know more about the Mersat now, we know more about, like, the myths and the history of Tyria, and like, you know, Guild Wars 2 has given us so many revelations on things across the timeline, in the lore and the story and the world and like all these things. And it would be really cool to see the scepter come back and like really shine and really see its power be used to its full extent, whether for good or evil, right? Whether we need to stop someone who's using it or us using it ourselves, right? Is the Scepter of Ore going to be the new Heart of the Obscure, right? Where we use that to destroy the Titans or seal them away or control them to not do the bad things they're doing or whatever it is, right? We don't know. So really fun. I mean, really excited. I love that we're getting so many details. This is a lot of details. See, this is what I was looking for last week, right? Like, that's kind of what I was looking for, because they kind of gave us a preview of the maps a little bit, right? Like, of the region with the Lowland Coden, but they didn't give us a lot. Here, oh my god, this is so much info. All of this, there's so much info. I love this. This is great. This is really, really good. We got the same picture. We've seen this a billion times. Like, we, in what, isn't it in one of the pictures or trailer or whatever, we stand down here. There's like panning pictures of this. I mean, we have seen this scene now, but this is the forest part. This is what I'm talking about, the forest. So this is going to be the first part of the map. So the way it's probably going to be, it's that weird beach shore area that we see where all the Leviathan skeletons are. That's going to run into this area. That's going to run into where the we're probably progressing north. I'm guessing we're coming from the south. We're coming from the Lowland Shore. We're crossing over the water, okay, and then we're making landfall on the Isles of Janthia. I have a feeling that we're gonna be in the river delta, right? When you look at the map, of like Kryta or whatever, you know, Central Tier or whatever. So right above, so you know, we have Divinity's Reach. Right above it is going to be the Lowland Shore that ends at the water's edge, okay, of the Janthir Bay. Then they're probably going to jump over the actual bay and go to the actual the purplish looking isle. That's the southern part of the Isles of Janthir, and that's probably where we're going to start from, right, where the water's edge is. And like I said, that's where the beach area is going to be. That's where the Leviathans are hanging out. Then we're going to go further north, going into the woodsy area here. And then from that, we're going to go to the Sulphurous Waste, and then making our way up a mountain into a volcano, right? Up the mountains into a volcano, I'm guessing, or whatever, right? And that's probably in the volcano. And I say that really strange, and I don't know why, but but that's probably where we'll see the Titans, I'm guessing. I don't know. We'll see. But that's kind of my theory on how that's gonna play out. But anyways, let's talk about what we're actually here for. Warclaws in the Wilds. While in Janthir, you'll have the opportunity to forge a bond with a Warclaw mount and train a new mastery line that grants your Warclaw new skills in PvE maps. The Warclaw is a highly mobile mount. Not so much, actually. It's really, like, if you compare it to other mounts, there's much more mobile mounts, including the Raptor, because the Raptor jumps really far. The Jackal has 3 jumps that are like teleports or whatever, where the Warclaw only has 2. So I don't know. It is mobile, clearly, but it's, you know, more than like the Turtle or something. But you know, it still doesn't compare to some of the other ones. That can navigate with precision and agility over all kinds of terrain, and it also boasts some unique combat and exploration abilities. Chain Pull deals damage and pulls enemies closer. So we've seen Chain Pull for in World vs. World, and we have some changes coming for that as well. But that was used for gates. You can actually use it on gate. It's kind of strange because I don't see a lot of people. I use it all the time in World vs. World. Like, you know, I don't know how it is now. I haven't played since the new changes have come out to some of the things too. That just happened yesterday, but I haven't played. But I used to use it all the time because it might take me way longer to build a ram than just sit here and use chain pull on the gate or whatever. So I don't know. But Battle Maul commands the Warclaw to leap forward and perform an area attack, stunning enemies at the center of the attack. So is that the the regular one attack? Is that the the going out of the like dismounting attack, whatever they call it, like the mountain, you know, the like leap attack that they have? Is that the same thing? because that's what it sounds like. I don't know what that's called, but it never did the stunning, so that would be new. It always did bleeding, right? Didn't it do bleeding? Doesn't it do like a couple stacks of bleeding or something? The attack. But yeah, so stunning. I mean, that's kind of nice because that'll help with break bars and stuff. So we can use. I know a lot of people use the Springer, right? Because the attack, the bouncy attack, the little spinny attack or whatever, does like a knockdown or whatever, and that's really good to like engage into fights with enemies that have a break bar. But if we have this, we can now use Battle Maul to use, for the same situation. Sniff was the 2 ability, enhances nearby allies while detecting nearby enemies. With Mastery Training, Sniff also detects nearby treasure, which are this is really cool. So I've talked about this before, and I think someone said that this was hinted at by one of the devs, the Sniff detecting treasure or something. But I've talked about this before, where I kind of wanted something like this. I wanted to be able to go around. So if you guys have watched my concept video for an underwater expansion, I talked about how I wanted to have like the seahorse mount be able to, was it the seahorse mount? Whatever. Be able to detect treasure, like use a sonar ability or something to like detect treasure on the ocean floor. And this is the same thing. I love this. This is going to be really, really cool. Just using Sniff to find some treasure around, like that's going to be really cool. Obviously, it's probably going to be like blues and greens in there, but if I can get some unusual coins, and I wish they would change like unusual coins, um, in Cantha and End of Dragons were really nice because you could get cool equipment for it and recipes and like all kinds of other things. And then they for Secrets of the Obscure, unusual coins didn't make much sense because you would be able to buy recipes of weapons that you have already acquired, which means that you probably already broke those down into materials, meaning that you already got the recipe, like you already unlocked the skin, not the recipe, but you unlocked the skin already. So what's the point in me buying a crafting recipe for a weak weapon that like I already have the skin for? Like the whole time during Secrets of the Obscure, like the unusual coins mean nothing. They mean absolutely nothing because it makes absolutely no sense to buy anything with it. So I've been accruing all these unusual coins with nothing really to do for. I'm sure there's probably I'm sure there's something to do with like legendary crafting that you can do with unusual coins. All I'm saying is pretty much to, not keep going on like this one stupid point, but it's just give me more to do with unusual. Do it more like End of Dragons than Secrets of the Obscure with the unusual coins. But it'll be interesting to see to do that. Detect nearby enemies. Does that mean we're gonna see some invisible enemies? That we won't like, because detecting nearby enemies that works in World vs. World, right? But is this gonna have a PvE application? Is there gonna be something where we have invisible foes and then we can detect them based, with the sniff ability? And I would love to know what the enhancement is. Is it gonna be just giving us a little bit of might or speed or whatever, right? Like, is it gonna be a random boon or is it gonna be like a unique function where it enhances something for I don't know. It'll be interesting to kind of see what that means. Lance throws a spear to deal damage and knock down enemies. It used to do the same thing, and you actually dismounted. You can dismount enemies in World vs. World with that. It'll be interesting to see if that has again a usage in PvE. Like knock down an enemy. I mean, can I just like walk around? And just like throw that spear at enemies and knock them down and just run away? Like, is it going to be one of those things where I'm like, I don't want to get dismounted, so I'm just going to throw my spear, knock that guy down, and run past him, right? Like, is it going to be one of those things? And here are the Warclaw's Mastery tiers. 9 lives, take no fall damage while mounted on your Warclaw. The base Warclaw already has decreased fall damage. Wow. Wow. Okay. That's really nice. No fall damage. That means I can just like leap off of anything with my Warclaw and be totally fine. That's really cool. I like that. I'm okay with that. Feline reflexes, extend your jump by hitting the spacebar again in midair, so we get a double jump. I'm gonna be interested to see how high that is. Is it gonna be like is it gonna be the same height as the regular jump? Because the regular jump, just so you guys know, the regular jump isn't super high. So is it gonna be like a jump and then a higher jump? Or is it going to be a jump and then the same kind of jump? Like, it'll be interesting to see how high the second jump is. Wild Claws, the Warclaw performs a hit on enemies when dodging through them. Hitting at least one foe gives you endurance at the end of... Oh, okay. That's cool. I like that. So dodging through them can give you endurance and it can actually hit enemies. Okay, that's cool. I like that. Pharaoh, so we have like mounted combat. Like if you take all of these things into account, this is like turning into like actual mounted combat. Like all these extra abilities and stuff, you might never have to dismount ever again. Pharaoh Fury increases damage while mounted on the Warclaw. The land skill now stuns enemies and deals increased defiance bar damage. Increases damage while mounted on Warclaw. Like again, we're going even further into mounted combat. Huh. I wonder if that's gonna play a role in like the meta event. Is it gonna be something where like in the meta event, like you wanna mount up and we all have to like an army of Warclaw players, like players on their Warclaws have to like run towards a target or something and like use their spears. I mean, that's gonna be kind of cool to see that. But yeah, this is interesting. I mean, I kind of love this, but I kind of hate it at the same time because having mounted combat is such a... Because we all know that the DPS of being mounted is always going to be lower than when we're off of our mounts. So, and I know a big problem that we've been having that I've seen myself for a lot of meta events is people just hanging out on their sky scale, flying above the battlefield, and shooting down the fireballs. And just doing that the whole time. And I mean, I literally feel like I just want to be like, what is wrong with you? You know, like, look at them. Like, just get off your freaking sky scale and help. You know, because this one fireball shooting, like, for, 9,000 damage or whatever isn't gonna help. Like, that's not really doing anything for anyone. So, it'll be interesting. They're doubling down on mounted combat, which isn't necessarily a bad idea. And I feel like it's gonna be harder to just be on a Warclaw, like, just mounted, because sky scale, the thing with the sky scale is you can be in the air and you don't get hit by attacks, or you're less likely to get hit. With the Warclaw, you're more likely to get hit because you're still where the regular attacks of the enemies are gonna go. So that might not be a huge issue. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. It'll be really interesting to see how far they're gonna go with this, and is it gonna be competitive enough really with like... Because someone raised the question as well the other day on stream talking about and it's a great point. I mean, great point. Like, what makes me want to use the Warclaw over a sky scale, right? I don't need to have a second jump that maybe isn't super high. I can just fly on my sky scale. Why do I need to be like... I don't need wild claws because I can just fly over the enemies. I don't care. I'll just fly over them and go to where I need to go. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need to have a lance or a sniff ability because I'm just gonna fly over everything and go to where I need to go. Like, what is the whole... like, are we not going to be able to do... And we talked about this, right? Like, we go back to these mist tides, right? Are these going to prohibit us from using our sky scale? Like, can we not fly on, like, in the Isles of Janthir? Because I would be totally okay with that. I would be very happy about that because I think that the sky scale is kind of taken over Guild Wars 2 to the point where like it's like a must-have thing because you can skip to whatever content you want to see. So it's kind of like, make me like ArenaNet. None of this makes me want to use sky scale or Warclaw over sky scale. What is something that makes me want to use the Warclaw over the Sky Scale. Force me. The thing is, I want Arena to force me to use the Warclaw in Janthia Wilds, is what I'm saying. I want them to force me to do that. I get that you want your player base to have all the freedom in the world, but if one of your major pillars of your expansion, one of your major features of your expansion is the Warclaw, then make me use it. Because right now, I don't have a reason. I'm gonna obviously train all of these masteries, but I still don't necessarily have a reason to use the Warclaw, over the Sky Scale. And I think that might be a major issue here. It's fine that they wanted to use the Sky Scale as the main thing, as one of the main things for Secrets of the Obscure, but you're gonna have to kind of backtrack a little bit on that for other things. If you're featuring other things, other mounts, then you need to kind of backtrack on the Sky Scale thing and kind of maybe prohibit the use of Sky Scales. I don't know, that's my opinion. Well rested increases the endurance regeneration rate for all mounts. That's going to be interesting to see, because that means we can use like the roller beetle boost more often. We can use like the griffin thing, I mean, like when you like zoom around, and you can like even sky scales, right? Like increasing that. I mean, like, that'll be interesting to see how much that affects the mounted stuff, right? They're really doubling down on mounted. I feel like in 10 years from now we're gonna have full on like mount battles, and that's gonna be the thing. I don't know. I don't know. I wouldn't be against it. We talked about it on stream. I would love to see like have a mini, like a festival, like one of the festival mini games or whatever, be something where you're mounted on like a Sky Scale and you shoot fireballs at each other, or or now like Warclaw and you throw lances at each other or something. I mean, I think there's precedence and there's room for that to be something, but is this something that's going to take over PvE and like the actual game? It's like, it'll be interesting to see all of that. So, but I'm not against any of it. I think there's some interesting things in here. I think there's going to be some fun stuff that I myself will use. I will definitely not use the Sky Scale, especially my first time going through the maps. Or not as much as I need. Like, if there's like a frustrating like mastery point that I can't get to, I'm just going to use my Sky Scale if I can. If I've tried for the last 30 minutes to get there or whatever. But I will try to just use the Warclaw as they have intended. But again, kind of force me to do that. I mean, I get that you have kind of the freedom, and you can say to people, well, if they want to use the Sky Scale to run across the map, then let them just do that, right? Like, someone might argue that. But the problem with that is, then those same people are going to go on Reddit the next day and be like, well, the expansion was really short. It took me only 2 hours to get through everything. Well, you flew over everything, and you haven't experienced even any of the maps or any of the things in it, because you chose to use your Sky Scale to just go from point A to point B and point C and point D and go through the story and do the meta event one time, and then now you're done, and that's all you think there is to it, right? So do you see what I'm saying? Like, for the longevity point of the expansion as well, I feel like for people to really experience it, not being able to mount on a Sky Scale, I'd be okay with that. What changes? When designing the Warclaw mount for PvE, we saw some opportunities to improve how the Warclaw works in World vs. World. This refresh of the Warclaw experience comes from our evolving understanding of our mount system since we first implemented mounts. Whether you're taking over or defending your territory, the Warclaw will continue to be your steadfast companion with these updated skills. Chainpull added a new effect, Weakened Frame, which amplifies damage inflicted on gates and walls. This will stack with Structural Vulnerability. Okay, so Structural Vulnerability, just so you know, is the Flame Ram thing that I think gets applied automatically now. It used to not be, right? But, or was that Ironhide? I think I'm talking about Ironhide. But anyways, or Structural Vulnerability is based off of the fire skill or whatever. Anyways, you can get up to like 10 stacks of structural vulnerability on a gate when you use a flame ram, if you have like the points invested in the World vs. World rank thing, whatever. And that gives, I think, like every every stack of it is 1%, so you can stack up to 10% more damage or something like that. I want to say it's something along the lines, but it helps you like break down gates and walls and or I don't know if it's walls, but I know it's specifically gates. But we can frame because the thing is like chain pull. I've never seen chain pull being used on a wall, right? So we can frame is only applied by things that you use chain pull for. So can we use, because they're saying like, which amplifies damage inflicted on gates and walls, meaning that we can use chain pull on a wall now? I don't think I've ever seen that before. So is that a new interaction that we have here? We can frame applying to walls, or maybe this is a typo and they didn't mean walls. I don't know. But it'll be interesting to see. I like it. That's gonna enable. I think that's gonna enable, because I think a lot of smaller like havoc groups, or like just if it's not super active during the time and you only have like 5 people in your group and you're trying to like take a tower or something in World vs. World. Like I said, I like to use my Warclaw because it's like Flame Ram only one person can use and the other ones are kind of standing around not doing anything. So, you know, I kind of like, I would love to see more people just kind of get on their mounts and instead of using their supply to build whatever, you know, Flame Ram or whatever, just all of them use Chain Pull and open the gate way faster. If they all use it together, it opens way faster. But now with Weakened Frame on top of that, like, that's going to be even nicer because that's going to give you more incentive to actually use Chain Pull. So that's nice. Sniff, in addition to its ability, it will also highlight damaged gates and walls for both allied and enemy structures when you're in range. Okay, that's kind of nice. So it kind of tells you, like, if you're running up to a tower and you're kind of trying to figure out, like, what the weakest point is, or something to like attack or something. Like, I guess there's some strategy involved. Like, okay, which wall am I gonna go to? Like, if I'm leading a squad or something, you know, am I gonna go over here or am I gonna go to the gate? You know, if I see something is already damaged, maybe I can go to that. Right there, that's kind of nice. And lance increases to 2 charges. So I mean, that's kind of whatever. That's the again, that's the dismounting skill that you have. So you can dismount players, so you have 2 charges of that now. But yeah, anyways, so and then we get a cool picture of the Warclaw. These pictures, is it just me, or are they like really low quality? Like, they're very pixelated, these pictures. I don't know, it might just be me, but whatever. It's so cool to see that fluffy little kitty cat. I'm excited to see it. So yeah, and then they kind of like buy it now, blah blah blah, whatever. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, Janthia Wilds, guys. It's drawing ever closer. We have a little more than a month until it comes out. So like I've talked about, I want to do some stuff on the channel. So keep an eye out on my community tab. If you guys are not subscribed to the channel, I would appreciate it. But also, like I said, I want to do some giveaways and stuff, so kind of look out for the community tab. I'm gonna see exactly what I can do, you know, financially to just kind of, you know, host a giveaway or whatever, because I would like to do them more often. I've talked about this on stream recently where I want to do more of those. So kind of look out for that. See, you know, just kind of keep an eye out for that, and let me know what you guys think. Are you guys excited for Janthia Wilds? I'm really kind of getting the hype now. Like, I feel like a lot of things, you know, specifically because we're getting lore and we're getting like info about the maps and things that are happening. Like, it's getting me like really hyped. But also like the spears and stuff, I'm really excited. I've been playing my warrior a lot lately, and I'm like really excited to get into spears. And I've always been a fan of Warclaw. Of the Warclaw, and I do use it in PvE actually a lot more, and I can't wait to actually use it more often now and actually get some more things, and having like increased endurance for all of my, like, endurance regeneration for all of my mounts. It's gonna be really cool to see. So there's some interesting stuff. I hope you guys enjoyed this look. Let me know what you guys think, and yeah, and like I said, there's a bunch of theories that I still have about things coming up, so we'll see what's gonna happen. So I don't think I'm streaming tonight, just so you guys know, but I might at some point, like on probably Sunday, I'm gonna go back to streaming. We are doing Nightfall right now, but I'm also doing I'm doing like random streams here and there, and I'm trying to do like other things. I'm trying to do a little bit of Guild Wars 2 as well, not just Guild Wars 1. But yeah, there's a couple of other things that I would like to kind of just stream and talk about and do, and yeah, and we'll see how all of that goes. So thank you guys so much, and I'll see you all next time. All right, bye guys.